Hello and welcome to the next episode of podcast FEMME OCCULTE, which is a podcast about Czech magic, mysticism, and witchcraft. Today, my guest will be a member of a Czech pagan band, Ráva, a Wiccan witch, a keeper of a Czechoslovakian wolf dog, and a devoted student of Kabbalah, Sagara Moon. She contributes to the magazine with the nickname Papaver, which means field poppy. Her chapters are mostly about Jewish mysticism, and she also created an oracle deck, Olam Sefirot, for FEMME OCCULTE. She had a lecture at the recent International Occulture Conference, and she is also a language teacher who helps women to find their original nature through shamanic rituals. She seeks sparkles of mysteries in science and magic, in the woods and in temples, and she finds inspiration in old books, but also in her mind with her eyes closed. I can help myself, but I have to ask, how did you like occulture?
Well, it was the first experience of this kind because in the past I used to go to academic conferences, so this was, let's say, a bit darker. But I felt at home, really. It was a place full of very interesting people, motivated people, inquiring knowledge and really curious. So amazing experience. Also, I went with my colleagues from FEMME OCCULTE, so we had fabulous 4 days.
Oh, that's nice. I would love to come someday. It's really on my wish list. Although I have never been there. Can I ask you about what topic did you talk at the lecture?
First of all, come with us. We all plan to go again. And what I talked about, I spoke about the soul in Kabbalah.
It's the Jewish Kabbalah or the occult one?
Yeah, actually, that was part of the introduction. That I explained the differences between occult Kabbalah that draws on the knowledge from Christian Kabbalah, and that's what most contemporary witches and magicians are familiar with. They are in this stream of occult Christian or Renaissance Kabbalah, sometimes called. But some time ago, some years ago, I started discovering the other part. These two parts are not really in communication. That's very interesting. But I like to walk both of them, combine them. And I thought that it might be interesting for the people coming to the culture conference to learn about the Jewish Kabbalah. That's usually kind of behind the closed door for us. So yes, I'm mostly Jewish Kabbalah, and I looked at the concept of the soul in Jewish Kabbalah, particularly in the book of Zohar.
Why did you choose to study Jewish Kabbalah when it's like stands out, or it's behind a closed door, or it sounds like something forbidden for people who aren't Jews?
Yeah. The answer is simpler than it seems. It's just a calling, because think about what I did before. It would be much more logical with brotherhood or wolf shamanism, paganism, and things like that. That I should kind of be doing runes and similar stuff. But the inner call, and you know that we should follow, or I'm sure you do the same thing, following the inner call. That was the call. Somehow the Hebrew language, the mysticism, the books written by medieval Jewish thinkers, I just felt such a strong call that I couldn't resist.
What was the moment, like the key moment, when did you switch from paganism to Kabbalah?
I wouldn't say I switched per se. It's more I added this perspective. Actually, I started doing occult Kabbalah many years ago as part of my Wiccan training and Wiccan practice. And I liked it, and I actually still do. It's not that I love that path or that I would think that it's completely wrong, not at all. But as I delved deeper and deeper into like authors like Dion Fortune, William Gray, and even deeper in history, Eliphas Levi, and scholars like that, I started to feel, there was some question in part of my mind that was too simple to ask. I was almost afraid to ask. Like, shouldn't this Kabbalah be a little bit more Jewish? Because it did not really emanate Jewish spirit, right? It's really part of Western mysteries. So I asked my spiritual leaders, and they told me, well, Jewish Kabbalah, that's something completely different. That's not what we do, so forget about it. We do occult Kabbalah, which is Renaissance Kabbalah. So I'm sure you would do the same thing. Just thank politely and then open the forbidden door.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that your like feminine, wild, and shamanic side can be useful in a system of Kabbalah, which is, at least for me, known for being full of strict rules and some texts that have to be followed exactly?
That remains to be seen. I don't know. Yeah, that's another thing why it's still keeps me surprised, why I'm attracted to this really male world of Jewish Kabbalah. And you're right. There doesn't seem to be much space for feminine, but there's this principle Shekinah that you might be familiar with. Many people in Western esotericism somehow think that this is a Hebrew goddess, and there is even a book called Hebrew Goddess. But Shekinah is just the presence of God. So femininity can be found in Jewish mysticism, but it's kind of veiled. You have to look for it. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should think about it a bit more. Maybe the wild woman and the female shaman, that's what I do in practically with my dog, with my friends. And maybe I needed something on the opposite side of the spectrum. Maybe that's reason too. But I've just bought books about the feminine principle in Kabbalah, so that is something I want to explore. And when I know more, I'll be happy to share it with you.
What is the role of women in like contemporary Judaism? Like, for example, are they treated equally as men, or do they have some limitations in the hierarchy of the groups or something?
Well, for us in the West, we think that being equal means doing exactly the same thing, but that doesn't work. It doesn't work like that in Orthodox Judaism. Men and women are perfectly equal, but they are supposed to do completely different things. There are specific roles. So the men basically do the study, and they have to perform the rituals from morning till evening, and it's a lot to do, I have to say. And they spend a long time just reading, because reading in Judaism is not as we know in reading for information or insight. It's reading as part of spiritual practice. It's reading for meditation. So that's what the men do. And the women, they wouldn't say the women should not or can't do it. They would rather say the women don't have to do it, because they have fulfilled their obligation to God by giving birth to children, looking after the man, so that they can devote their time to the study. So equality there is, but it's completely different from how we understand it. But that's Orthodox Judaism. There's Reformed Judaism, and in that the women can take the same role, study and do rituals, and the equality is much closer to how we perceive it in the West.
Do you practice Kabbalah alone or in a group?
Mm-hmm. Well, practice, that's another thing. The real Kabbalistic practice can be only done by Jews. So that's what I can't do, from simple reason, not being a Jew. So what I do is I do a alone, the things that are kind of Jewish, or as I perceive them. But the occult Kabbalah I do with a group. That's part of my Wiccan practice. So I do that. And I also, I just believe it is a kind of practice. I'm part of a Zohar workshop. So I go through that. I'm just learning through that seminar. It's an online seminar, but to us Western people, it seems a different thing. A ritual, that's something mystical, and reading and studying, that's a different thing. But in Jewish thought, it's also spiritual. It's also a spiritual practice. So in a way, yes. And the seminar is organized and done by an academy who is also Jewish. So he's somewhere between academy and practice. So I guess that's probably the closest I got. But I've got plans in our culture. I met some people actually as part of my lecture. At the end of my lecture, I offered or asked the audience if somebody would like to do chavruta with me. Chavruta is a very special term for a study in pairs. That's what's done in Judaism, in yeshivas. It's of course done traditionally. It's done by men only, but nowadays in reform branches of Judaism, it can be done by women. So chavruta basically means that you take a few verses of a book of, I don't know, Zohar or Talmud or anything, and you speak about it. So I asked for chavruta, and there were 4 people who came to me after that they are interested. So I'm going to make contact, and we will see what will come out of it.
Okay, good luck. Have you ever been to Israel?
Yes, I went to Israel. Oh, that's quite a few decades ago, in like 80s. I was still a university student. Went to Israel, so maybe that's where it all started. At that time, of course, I knew nothing about Judaism, but I was pretty amazed and kind of taken by the land, by the countryside, by the deserts and oases, but also by the people. At that time, I was a young student, so I was particularly impressed by the young female soldiers, which now, when we speak about it, doesn't sound so attractive. But at that time, I was impressed by all the girls in uniforms.
Would you like to come back, maybe in some simpler times?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, whenever. I'm not the person that would just risk life, but whenever it is possible, that the country, the place, the land is on my list. Definitely, I want to see it again with better knowledge of Hebrew.
Were you already a witch in your student years?
A witch. Kind of, yes, but remember those times in the 80s, there was no internet, so it was difficult to find any information, to find people, and the paganism and witchcraft was just starting out in the Czech Republic. So in my own way, but at that time I was on the search. I was searching for things, and the first thing I came across was Native Americans. That was through I was a student of English, so through that I discovered Native American mythology, Native American religion, Native American spirituality, and I even wrote my diploma thesis on that. So that was my first real touch with spirituality. Of course, I was searching in what was here, but that was mainly Christianity, right? Christian churches. So I spent some years trying to be, or choosing from the Christian denominations, but it was not. It did not. I liked many things. I didn't like others, but it was not. It was just not my home. So it took me quite a few years more to actually discover witchcraft.
You grew up in socialist Czechoslovakia, where kind of everything connected to spirituality was strictly forbidden, which is a thing that I cannot imagine because I was born after Velvet Revolution, but also maybe the people listening to us in like Western countries cannot imagine something like this. So how was it? How did you find your spirituality and maybe paganism in this situation?
Yeah. Yeah, regardless of the regime you live in, when you have a calling, you have a calling, and you just find ways to get there. So I had visions from childhood. I had visions, these kind of, now when I look back at it, it's, well, I was a girl when I had visions of like standing in the fields and controlling the elements, bringing the rain and things like that. And for many, I thought these were just, these things do not exist, because that's, of course, what I was told. So there was still this kind of wish and even a belief that it is somehow possible, only I have to find out how. So then came the Native Americans I spoke about, but they were far away. Then the Christians don't really control the elements, so I didn't find this there. Then I learned something about shamanism, but again, I didn't know anyone. So the first real, and I still remember the moment, the first real realization that these things can and are real in this world was when I was in England. And I went to a bookshop and I found books about Wicca. Wicca at that time, now everybody knows what it is. But at that time, especially in the Czech Republic, the world was unknown. But it looked very much like a witch. Wicca, witch, W. So I looked into them, and it was about contemporary witchcraft. So for me, it was like, oh my God. So I can be a witch. I am. So I just need to be trained. So I bought all the books that I found on that topic. I read them several times and started searching for people who actually do that. There were some addresses. That was still before the internet, you see. So it was not as easy as it is today. Just Google things at that time. No Google, nothing, just some addresses. Pagan international, what was it called? Pagan Federation started later. So when it started, I found it, and through the Pagan Federation, I found some people in the Czech Republic who were Wiccans. There was only one at that time, and yeah, that's how it started. And then everything that I did, like in shamanism and everything else, everything started to be real. So it was mainly this kind of realization, oh, it exists, it is real, it's not just visions, it can be done.
And then you read Brotherhood of Wolves. Is it like that? Is this group active somewhere outside Czech Republic?
Brotherhood of Wolves? No,
Yeah.
Brotherhood of Wolves is Czech. It's purely Czech, and all members are Czech people. So Brotherhood of Wolves, it's difficult to describe that practice because it does not belong to anything bigger. So I would say it's shamanic, but the members just try to go as deep in history as possible to the times of hunters and gatherers, and imagine what it was like then, what rituals they made. This was made much easier when we all got Czechoslovakian wolf dogs, because when you live with the wolf dog, they can really initiate you into the wolf mysteries.
Well, I've heard that the wolf dog is more like a wild animal still than a house pet, and that it brings many funny situations. So is that true?
Yes, but of course there are differences between individual dogs. Like one thing is you don't leave your dog in your house without control. So the dog has to be locked somewhere when you are not present. So only in your presence they can be with you. But because they tend to destroy stuff when they are alone. But maybe that's because they don't want to be alone. They love company, animal or human. But in fact, many, especially men, are disappointed because they are not that fierce as they seem to. So I know many men who got bulldogs because they are Vikings, and they just want to have a dog who's a killer. And they realize that the wolf is not really a killer. That's that. But for me, it's a good combination of fierceness. I don't know how to. What's the noun? It doesn't matter. Of being fierce and having a lot of energy and temperament, but at the same time being so cute and gentle. So yeah, the life with bulldogs is brilliant. Maybe not for everyone. I agree, but I can't imagine living without her anymore.
What are the other ways that the paganism appears in your life, everyday life?
Hmm. The time when I went to all the rituals that I could get to is long gone. We all met you somehow, and of course you lose the need to go to all the rituals because paganism becomes part of your daily life. So that means when you wake up, your thoughts are somehow connected to higher powers. Incense and these things are just used on everyday basis. So it's just part of your daily life. When you need to calm down, you know how to do it because you have got you have been trained in meditations, so you know how to do it. When you need to send a prayer, that's prayer is more a Jewish thing than pagan. So I'm learning in that, trying to find balance between meditation and prayer. When you really need something more active, you know how to create a ritual. You're able to write a long structured ritual, but at the same time you are able to just a quick ritual that just needs to be done at this moment. So this kind of thing. So I like going to other people's rituals. I sometimes do, but I don't go as often as as in the past because there is no need to. It's just sometimes it seems that people go to rituals to be in touch with paganism, but when it's your life, if you or when you visit me, which might happen, you will see that when you enter this house, you can see that it's a pagan house. Yeah, pagan with Jewish Kabbalistic touch. Yes, it's just here, decorations, the feeling, and everything.
Does music feel magical to you? I'm asking because you play some historical instruments in the pagan band.
Yes, Rava is a pagan band, but also historical music band. In like Rava Historica, we focus on the 14th century, and we actually no longer do the public events like markets and things like that. So we are part of a group that focuses on the reign of when Czech queen, and we go with them. And in those events, we just do whatever is necessary in the morning service, morning religious service. We play when there's a tournament. We play when the king and queen want to be entertained in the evening. So that's what we do. So that's part of it. And the other part is pagan, where we play our own music, which is distinctly pagan. It just it grows out of our pagan practice. We sing, we compose the music in a Gothic language. So as that, and it's not acoustic. We because there are only 3 people in our band now, and we are quite happy about it. So we use electronics, but I'm not the one who would do that. That's the other 2. I just do what they tell me. But it's like that. It's not unplugged, the pagan part of the band. And you ask about if it is magical. Yeah, sure. Yeah, just music. Music is music, and it just carries you to another world by the power of the music. Yes, by the tones and vibrations and the words.
Yeah, you play flutes, bagpipes, and something that is called shalmaye in Czech language. I don't know how it is in English. So, what kind of instrument is this?
Yeah, in English it's called a shaw.
Would you like to try another historical instruments?
Yes. Of course, as a flute player or wind instrument player, there are never enough flutes. So the last one I got is a horn. It's an instrument from a cow horn, which has got quite a delicate tone. But 2 weeks ago, no, 1 week ago, I went to a concert and the people had, the guy had this kind of wind instrument that was made not from a cow horn, but what I recognize as a ram horn. So yeah, ram beran. So it had completely different shape, and the sound was like, oh my god, that was just amazing. He even changed tones. It sounded something between shawm and saxophone, and it had this power, some kind of deep vibration. So in the week I googled, and I couldn't find it. But then I realized, studying Judaism, that the Jews had an instrument that's called shofar, and shofar is an instrument made of ram horn. But so maybe that was that, but I don't know. It was the instrument made from the same horn. So I'm just at the moment I'm exploring these options, whether to get a shofar, the Jewish religious instrument that was used to call people to Shabbat, or whether to explore what he had, if it was something else. But it looked exactly the same. So I need to explore, but that's really my future new instrument.
That would be very nice. I would love to see you play this thing at the concert, because I don't know, maybe he had some kind of improvisation, maybe not, but I would love to see it even if I visit you. But speaking of all your activities, how did you come to the garden of FEMME OCCULTE? How long are you in there?
I've been with the girls in FEMME OCCULTE for 4 years, 4 or 5. I'm not sure. Almost from the beginning, they hired me as an editor, so that was my first role. Then they hired a native speaker who can really see the nuances. I may speak well, but I'm not a native speaker. But they knew that at that time I was studying Kabbalah, and I started learning biblical Hebrew, so they didn't have anyone writing on that topic, so they asked me, and that's how it started. We never looked back. So I deliver one article for every issue of the FEMME OCCULTE journal.
You also created an oracle deck named Olam Sefirot. When I have first seen it, I was pretty confused, but then you explained me, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. So can you explain to the listeners?
Okay, I'll explain. That's the positive and at the same time negative of the deck. That the people who are not familiar with Kabbalah, with Hebrew at all, they don't know what to do with the deck. But when you know, it's amazing. So your reaction was pretty accurate. The problematic thing is that it's organized differently than regular tarot deck, and also we use only Hebrew in description of the tarot card. So you have to know a little. At least you need to know what the letters look like, and you have to recognize the names of the sephirot. That's plenty. We included even the nikud, the little dots around, for those who are more advanced and want to practice. So that makes it difficult, but at the same time, it makes it amazing for the people who are into it, who can practice in Hebrew using the deck. The cards are organized in the organization is the 4 Sephirotic trees, 4 trees of life in the 4 worlds. So we've got the 4 worlds: Olam Atzilut, Olam Beriach, Olam Yetzirah, and Olam Asya, and we have got the 4 Sephirotic trees there. So that's another thing that people can do with it. They can build the 4 trees. So the users, even a person who doesn't really know much about Kabbalah, can use it as a regular tarot deck. Just pick up a card and then read, because there's a little booklet. So read the description in the booklet. So that's one thing. And if you are a Kabbalist or advanced of Kabbalah, or in beginnings of Kabbalah, and you know something about the 4 worlds, you might ask a question and ask, like, oh, which world the problem originated, perhaps, and pick up a card. And then you might ask, in which world shall I solve the problem, and pick up a card. So it can be used in many, many ways, and I'm sure those who are using it and will be using it find even more ways to use it. I am still discovering it.
Well, me as a beginner, I see them mostly as a great motivation to learn Hebrew, because you cannot understand what card do you have in your hand without like being able to read the letters. So for me, it's more motivational. But I would like to ask, why did you choose the name Papaver? Does it something in common with wolves? Because in Czech Republic we call this flower wolf puppy. In English, it's field puppy.
Yeah, that's right. So I was being playful. It's a wolf poppy in Czech, as you said, but it's also a beautiful, beautiful flower. I love red flowers. I like field flowers because they are so resistant. I love garden flowers too. I've got a garden, but the field flowers, especially poppy, they always attracted me. I just love them. So there was not much to think about when the girls asked me to pick up a flower to be my FEMME OCCULTE name.
But many people know you also as Sagaramun. What does this name mean?
These 2 names, you can trace my spiritual history with them. Saga, that's part of Saga Studio. That's kind of my personal brand for 5 years. Up to COVID, between by university. I was a university lecturer for 15 years. And then when I quit, I set up my own studio where I taught languages, but also I gave workshops on various esoteric topics. And the name of the studio was Saga Studio. So Saga, that's from there. And Ramun, that's even older. That's that actually means another flower. It means Ramune is actually chamomile, and it was quite accidental. I was at a conference in Lithuania, and the people, so it's truly Lithuanian. The people told me, "Oh, Camilla, that's actually Ramune in our language," and I liked it. So when at that time paganism started to grow and everybody had a nice nickname and I didn't have any nickname, I said, that sounds quite cool. So that's that.
Yes, that definitely does. How did you come up with the idea of like combining language courses with the personal development and shamanic rituals in
Yeah,
the studio?
that's when you start a business, you just need to do what you know. So these are the things that I knew and know, and that I thought might bring me joy and money. Yeah, because you have to in business, you have to survive, subsist. So that's being a language teacher. That's my first profession, and only then I studied anthropology of religion in particular. So, and became a researcher. So these are the two things that felt natural. The languages. I did language courses for companies, so that was the main part of my income, and most stable income as well, because you get these regular classes. So these classes of business English, they brought me balance and stability, and I liked it too. I love teaching languages. And in the evenings, I had these workshops that brought me not so much money, but a lot of joy. And also, it's good to teach, because when you want to learn something, the best way is to teach it, because then you have to prepare. So that there's something behind that too, because at that time I started teaching Spanish too. I was not so good at it, but teaching it, I had to become quite good very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. So, what are your plans now? Speaking of Femme Occult, or maybe Kabbalah, or even your business?
Mhm. I loved the business. I had to leave it with the start of COVID, because, as I said, the classes of business English gave me stability, and they ended with the start. All of them ended with the start of the COVID. So I had to find a regular job, which is being a teacher at an IB international school, which is nice. Brings me stability. That's what a witch and a magician needs, I think. Maybe not all, but I need that to kind of feel stable in Malchut, in the material world. And then I can explore the other worlds and other realms, and pay somebody who would teach me biblical Hebrew and things like that. So I'll definitely continue with that. I just love Hebrew. And so learning more, hopefully learning faster. So that's one of my goals, and developing Kabbalah. I already spoke about Chabruta, so with other people who also study Kabbalah. So I want to develop that, and of course, just cooperating with the girls from FEMME OCCULTE, because that's my home now, because the girls want my articles. I love writing them. So hopefully we will just go on in that nice, pleasant cooperation. Perhaps go again to our culture in Berlin next year, maybe to other places. So that's that. And I've got some musical dreams too. I'd like to start performing with the band, but first we have to build the pagan repertoire, because we have just started. So we at the moment we cannot perform. So maybe in a year or two we will be. So there's a lot. And then still go for walks with my dog, and do forest rituals and things like that. Yeah.
So, last but definitely not least, I cannot miss the opportunity to ask a Kabbalist about what do you think about all those conspiracy theories, like the Jews and the Kabbalists secretly controlling the world. Is it true?
Well, can we disprove it? Well, everything is possible. um, to tell the truth, I don't really indulge in conspiracy theories, because I'm too open to everything. So to I'd rather not delve into it, but it's hard to say. I'm definitely not part of a powerful group like that. But if I was, I wouldn't tell you, right?
Yeah, definitely. This must stay very secret information. So thank you very much for this interview. I wish you many, many beautiful experiences with your dog and in the woods, and many successful studies. Thank you for coming here.
The same to you, and thank you very much.
And also thank to all of you for listening to this very end. Please let me know if you like our podcast. And now if you have a niche, that means you want to give us a like. And if it just got really bad, that means that you want to subscribe to us. So thank you. Bye. Have a nice day. And I'm looking forward to the next episode of Podcast FEMME OCCULTE.